Hey Bowtie Nation, Joseph Hogue here, and the sell-off in tech stocks has been brutal, but could be one of your best opportunities in the next year. Tech stocks in the Nasdaq are down more than 10% from the peak late last year, and many are down as much as 50% or more. But then if you put this into perspective, these are still companies growing revenue by 20 or 30% a year. These are still companies that are going to change the way we live over the next decade. So think about it. How many times in 2020 did you look at shares of Zoom Video Communications or Teladoc wishing you had bought in sooner at a lower price? Now could be your chance to get in on these fast-growing tech stocks at a discount, buying in for that long-term investment, but you need to know how to find the best. In this video, I'll show you how to find the fastest growing tech stocks and 3 signals for which stocks to buy. I'll then reveal the top 5 tech stocks to watch right now. Before we get started though, you know I've got to send that special shout out to all you out there in the nation. Thank you for spending a part of your day to be here. If you're not part of that community yet, just click that little red subscribe button. It's free and you'll never miss an episode. First though, I want to thank Ethos Life, our sponsor for today's video. According to a survey by the Life Insurance Marketing and Research Association, just 52% of American households report owning life insurance, and 2 in 5 families would face financial hardship within 6 months of a primary wage owner passing. And I know this is one of those things that it's easy to think you can do it later or just don't need life insurance, but rates typically increase 8 to 10% each year you age, so this is something you want to figure out now while you can. Ethos is making life insurance accessible to everyone by making it easier and faster to apply. You can use the quote estimator on the site to get a quote in seconds and apply in less than a few minutes with no medical exams. You only need to answer a few health questions. Check out the link I'll leave in the description below and help reduce the risk to your family's financial future. Ethos partners with the top-rated carriers and is rated excellent by customers on Trustpilot. I want to start in on our list of fastest-growing tech stocks, so I'm going to show you how I found these later in the video, but make sure you catch that because I'm going to cover what could be the 3 most important factors looking at these stocks. We're going to be counting up to the fastest growing tech company, and number 5 here, Nvidia Corporation, ticker NVDA. Now Nvidia made it on a list of growth stocks I highlighted last week, but barely made it on this list of fastest growing tech stocks. So if that gives you any idea of where we're heading. The company has built itself into a next-generation chip company that's going to be powering everything from AI to self-driving and the Internet of Things. I'm going to be ranking these stocks on 3-year annualized sales growth, which is why Nvidia comes in 5th at a 27% annual pace, but sales have increased 45% over the last year, so this one has that gaining momentum. The company has also grown its profitability in both the operating and gross margin, something I'll talk more about later. Let's just say for now, for a company to book nearly 50% sales growth and become more profitable at the same time is a great sign. I'll also be sharing analyst expectations for sales growth for each of our stocks. And you can see here, Nvidia is forecast to book 60% sales growth this year to $26.7 billion and keep that 30% pace through 2024. And I think that's a pretty good bet with the demand from all of its end markets. Now, even on that $37 billion sales target for 2024, this still puts these shares at 17 times on a price to sales basis. So Nvidia has got to continue that growth well into the future to rationalize this price. But I think like shares of Amazon and Tesla and some of these other growth names, this one just always trades expensive and it always seems to make money for investors. Analysts have an average target $100 higher to $359 a share, which would be about a 38% return from here, and as high as $400 a share over the next year. 4th on our list, and another semiconductor company, Onto Innovation, ticker ONTO. Now, Onto provides optical process solutions to the semiconductor market, so think VR headsets, robotics, and self-driving cars, and you'll get a sense of the growth potential for this company. Here we see sales growth and margins for the company, and I'll explain that next, but it's exactly what we're looking for. Sales grew at a 29% pace over the last 12 months and 37% annualized over the last 3 years. The company improved on its gross margin over the last year and blew its operating margin out of the water, more than tripling that operating profitability to 17%. Now, some of these stocks aren't as widely covered by analysts. For example, we only have 5 analysts here with forecasts for Onto, so there's a little bit more uncertainty. The company is expected to post 14% sales growth this year to $889 million, and that's after 40% in the previous fiscal year. The average price target is for $116 a share, or about 24% higher from here, and even that low target on the stock is 17% higher. We've still got 3 of the best growth stocks to highlight, but I want to show you what I'm looking for here, and we're going to start with 2 of the 3 filters I use to screen for these stocks. First here is going to be revenue growth, that traditional definition of growth stocks with sales growth of at least 20% a year. But for this video, I wasn't just looking for any growth stock, I was looking for the fastest growing. So here I started my screen with only those tech companies with sales growth of 35% in the most recent quarter and sorted by the highest. But then the absolute highest growth stocks didn't necessarily make the list. We've seen plenty of growth stocks tumble 50 and 60% over the last year, companies putting up strong double-digit sales growth with stocks so broken it left investors curled up in the fetal position. And that's why I also wanted to filter those high growth stocks for those with positive net income, those companies already making money, rather than just trading on a hope and a dream. In fact, this is what Goldman Sachs chief strategist David Kostin calls the single greatest mispricing in US stocks, the difference between growth stocks with positive margins or profits and those with low or negative earnings. And what he's talking about there, what he's calling the greatest mispricing in stocks, is the fact that those quality growth companies that are not only growing sales but also already profitable, they're getting punished along with those low quality companies. As investors rush to the exits on all growth stocks, they're selling even the best stocks with it. So for our list of fastest growth stocks, I took that ranked order of sales growth and then filtered for only those companies with a positive net income or earnings. Back to our list of best growth stocks though, and next is XPER Holdings, ticker XPER. XPER is an interesting business mix, a semiconductor company with media delivery products and an IP licensing segment. Just like the prior 2 picks, this one is hooked into those biggest growth themes like connected car entertainment. Now sales have slowed a little to 23% growth in the last year, and there has been some margin weakness, so you might wait to see another quarter or 2 of results before adding on this one. Even as that gross and operating margin have come down marginally though, they're still high compared to peers and well above where they were in the past. Now on this one as well, we only see 3 analyst forecasts, but they do see sales flat this year before moving higher to $906 million next year. The upside here to a little weaker growth is that this one is trading for just 1.9 times on a price to sales basis versus multiples like 17 times for Nvidia and 6 times for Onto. So XPER is definitely that value pick in the list. 2 analysts with price targets here from $26 on the low side to as high as $31 a share, so still some significant upside potential, maybe on a little better investor sentiment if this one can just break out. This next growth stock could be my favorite of the group. Digital Turbine, ticker APPS. The company is kind of a behind-the-scenes picks and shovels play on the influencer era, providing media and mobile applications for content and advertising. Now, maybe I'm biased here working in the industry, but Digital Turbine has some great fundamentals. The big news recently was a strategic partnership with Google to build for Android devices and expand that into mobile, connected devices, and TV for the Android ecosystem. The company is also focusing on its global expansion through a partnership with Telefonica, one of the largest telecom providers in Latin America. And we see that explosive growth here. Sales up 125% in the last year and up at an 88% pace in the last 3. At the same time, the company's been able to significantly improve its profitability over those years. Sales are expected to continue higher, up 282% to $1.2 billion for the full year and to $2.2 billion by 2024. If it can even get close to that growth estimate, that takes the shares to at least 2 or 3 times higher over the next few years. These shares are trading for 7.5 times on a price to sales basis now. On that $2.2 billion in revenue, it would be a $140 stock at the same valuation multiple. And analysts aren't too far off with an estimate for an average target at $103 per share and even a low target of $80 each. Now I'm going to reveal that best growth stock in our list next, but I used one more factor in narrowing the video down to these best 5. So after filtering for only those profitable companies, I also screened for those with improving profitability in their gross and operating margins. But remember, the gross margin is the percentage of total revenue left over after paying for materials and some production costs. It's a great measure of how well management is dealing with inflation and its ability to pass on higher costs without losing customers. Operating margin then, and I know all you out there in the nation are tired of hearing me preach on this one, but it is easily my favorite measure. This one is the percentage of revenue left over after paying all operating costs. It's a great measure of that overall operating profitability and management's ability to turn those sales into profits. So now we've got that list of growth stocks that are already blowing the doors off their sales each year, but also already making money and getting more profitable each and every year. It's just hard to get any better than that. And the fastest growing tech stock, a popular stock over the last year, Zoom Video Communications, ticker ZM. Now, Zoom was also in our list last week and is becoming universally used in that video conferencing market. Even if it can't book that same 3-year growth that it has in the past, there is still a lot of growth here, not only in number of users, but in monetization. And the vast majority of those users on the platform are using the free program, so I think there's hidden growth here that's not reflected in the forecast if the company can just figure out how to better monetize those free users. Zoom booked 47% sales growth over the last year and an astounding 126% annualized over the last 3. Profitability has also improved progressively over the years, and the company is really coming into that economy of scale for profits. Sales are expected higher by 52% this year to $4.1 billion, and at an annual 27% pace to $5.6 billion by 2024. Now, even that still makes it a little pricey at 13 times this year's sales, but it's hard to argue with this kind of growth. Analysts have an average target of $280 a share, which would be about 77% higher from here, and a high target of $400 each. It's interesting, though, that lately, even as the sell-off in tech stocks has accelerated, the losses on Zoom seem to have slowed down a little bit, so maybe it's finding a bottom here. Click on the video to the right for the 5 best investments you can make this year. 5 investments for 2022 that will make you money. Don't forget to join the Let's Talk Money community by tapping that subscribe button and clicking the bell notification.